All right, hi everybody. This week we are starting with acrylic paints, and we are going to do some like pop art. I call it pop art because we're using complementary colors, and complementary colors make each other pop. So we are going to start with a little color theory. We are going to look at our color wheel. These are all the colors that you've got in your paint palette or your paint box. Each of you will have gotten a box of acrylic paints. They're not the best quality, but it will give you kind of a feel for what acrylic paints are like. So up until this point, we've been working with pencil and watercolor, and watercolor is a very transparent medium, meaning you can see right through it. You can see colors through it, whereas acrylic paint is more of an opaque medium. It's actually a plastic. Actual acrylic paint is kind of a plastic. So they created it to replace oil paints. Oil paints take sometimes 6 months to dry. So they created this as an alternative to that, and acrylic paint takes minutes to dry. So we are creating pop art, and so that's where the color wheel comes in. Pop art or complementary colors are opposite colors on the color wheel. So if you want to do one color in, say, a deep yellow, you're going to pick a blue to be its complement. If you want to do something sap green, you're going to pick a red or a red orange to be its complement. Same with like purple, violet, you're going to pick a lighter yellow to be its complement. So in class, we're also working on brush control. So in class, you will have gotten just a little sample of paint and a brush in this worksheet. And I'm not going to do the whole thing, but the basic idea is that we are learning to control our brush and the paint. So we're taking our paint right up to the edges and not going outside of the lines. Sometimes that takes practice. Acrylic paint is thicker. You can see that. It goes on pretty globby, so you really have to spread this out, whereas watercolor goes on very thin. Acrylic has to be worked a little bit more. So basically everything you learned with watercolor does not apply to acrylic paint. Okay, so you are working on brush control, getting right up to the line and not going out. And then your second color, which we're not practicing, would be right up to that color. So we're going to have corners, we're going to have sharp places. In your kit, you will have two different brushes. They're not great brushes, but they'll do. You have a flat and you have a round. Now the round, you can really get into tight places. So you can kind of curl it. You can see you can kind of get a tip there, and you can get into those tighter places. Okay, it's just all about taking your time and you deciding where the brush goes. This brush has no mind of its own. It doesn't go anywhere that you don't tell it to go. Okay, so that's in class. And make sure, I'm going to say this right up front, make sure you wash these brushes off. So since acrylic paint is a plastic, when it dries, it turns to plastic. So you need to wash them off right away. Wash them out when you're done using them and lay them flat to dry. Don't leave your brushes in the water. That will ruin your brushes as well. Okay, so that's all in class. Okay. So now choosing our complementary colors. Now you're welcome to do this color wheel or some version of it. You don't have to put this much color down. You could do just a little swatch around the edge. You can make a color wheel if you want. And then you know what colors you have. These little tubes, you'll open them and they'll be solid. They have a little pokey thing that you have to kind of twist and poke to open each individual tubes. So you can either do the swatch and open all your tubes, or you can just open the tubes you want. So I am going to do my sap green, I think, and my scarlet. Those are going to be my colors today, I think. You know, with Christmas coming up, I want to do something a little Christmassy. Okay, so we're going to go to a clean piece of paper. And I'm going to show you what our final project is. So we are going to be creating positive and negative space, basically. So my positive space will be my lighter color, my negative space will be my darker color. So our complementary colors make each other pop. They create a little visual disturbance. So sometimes it's kind of hard to look at this. Your eyes kind of don't know where to look, where to focus. So that's our purpose today. All right. So what you're going to need your complementary colors. So two colors. You're going to need your paintbrushes. You're going to need a little palette, a plate or something to put your colors on, or I'll show you a little trick. Acrylic paint, once it's out of the tube, if it's just on an open surface, it will dry and you can't use it again. It'll dry into a glob of plastic. So you want to pour out the least amount that you need. So use sparingly. You can always take more out of the tube. You can't put it back once it's already out of the tube. Okay, so you need your paints, you need a palette, you need brushes. You probably want a paper towel and a pencil. Where's the pencil? Okay. A pencil. So what we're going to do is first we're going to outline our paper. So I want a bit of a white outline. It does not have to be perfect. A rough edge is totally fine by me, but I want this white border. Acrylic paint can get pretty messy, and so if you were to go to the edge of the paper, all of a sudden you've got paint all down the side of your sketchbook, and we don't want that. We want to keep our sketchbook nice and clean. All right, and then I'm going to draw in some shapes. I want at least, let me see, I have 5 shapes on this one. I want at least 5 shapes. They can be hearts, they can be stars, they can be circles, they can be blobs, they can be whatever shape you want. I want 5 shapes. So we're going to start there in various sizes. So I'm actually going to do blobs. I don't know why I felt like blobs were what I wanted to do today. So blob 1, I'm going to do a nice big blob in the middle. And I need 5 of them. Okay, nothing special. Just going to lighten my lines just a tad, just because that graphite drags. Now normally I would start with my lightest color. Like if I was had a yellow or an orange, I would start with that. These two are kind of comparable, but I'll start with the red, because I don't think the red would cover the green if I made a mistake. So I'm going to start with my red, and then I'm going to, well, I got a little ahead of myself. First, I'm going to draw some lines through my blobs. So I'm going to do this. So first years, if this is your first time taking high school art with me, just do 1 line. You can do more if you want, but I only require 1 line to go through your paper as a first year. Now, if you are second year or more, I require 2 lines at least. So I think the last one I did, I split the other way, and I don't think I liked it as well. No, where to go? I did an X on that one. I like that one. I'm gonna do blobs like that. Okay, so here's where the tricky part comes in. You really have to think this through. So I'm going to start with my lighter color and my brush. And this is my positive space. So I'm going to start right here with my red. So 2 ways you can do this. You can put a little bit out on your palette and pull from there and then add as you need, or you can pull right from the tube. Okay, so I'm going to start. This is where I just decided this was going to be red. Now I'm working on my brush control. I don't want to go outside my blobby edge. I'm going to fill this right up to the lines. With red. Now you will go through a lot more acrylic paint than you did watercolor, but we don't want it gloppy either. So we want a nice thin layer. Okay, if there's any buildup, you can kind of scoop it up. There's a time and a place to make paint globby, but we don't need it. Sometimes you can do it, use it to add texture, or you can use it to build up something. Okay, so that's my red. I'm going to do all the red first. It will just simplify the confusion. All right, so since this is my negative space in this section, this is going to be my negative space in this section. So this is where you have to think. So now I'm going to do my background in red. Okay, so this whole background, and I'm going to go outside of the blob. Now I got to be careful because I have a blob over here that I have to go around also. So be careful. You got to watch 2 areas. And this is why I said we were working on brush control, because you really have to think about where you're going with your paintbrush, where you're sticking your arm. You don't want to stick your arm in paint either. Okay, and then we're just going to go right up to the edge. Okay, we want to try and get nice clean lines. So that means you have to have enough paint on your brush. If you don't have enough paint, there will be dry looking lines. We don't want dry lines. And by that I mean like that's dry. Like you can tell there was not enough paint on there to do what you needed to do. So like I said, you'll go through a lot more paint. You'll probably go through half of this tube on this painting. Okay, we got to watch this line too. So I'm just going to keep going. Careful not to stick our arm in the paint. Now this little paint kit should cover the next, should cover the 3 acrylic projects. We won't use this paint for our winter project because it's not I don't think it would be enough. Oops, there's my dogs. Okay, if you need to switch to the little brush, you're welcome to. You want to take the little brush. Look, I already got some on the side of my, how did I do that? Okay. Teenagers are home. These aren't perfect brushes. I get that. But they'll get the job done. Okay, so you can get right in those tight little corners. Another reason you don't want to put too much out is because it's going to start drying. As soon as you pour it out of the tube, it's already going to start drying. So we don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to fix that because I got a little smudge there of dryness. We'll fix that when I come in with my darker color, which is another reason why you want to start with the lighter color. Okay, as soon as I get this space down, I'll go in with the green so you guys get the general idea. Ooh, I have a tight space over here too. Gonna need my other brush. Okay, so I'm gonna get this down. Actually, that flat brush worked really well. There it is. Okay. So ideally you would rinse your brush off between colors. If you don't have water with you right now, you can at least just wipe it off really good with your paper towel. Okay, then you can take your second color out. All right. Now be really careful not to stick your arm in it. Okay, so my green is now going to be in this space. My apologies, you think I would get better at this. Okay, so I did my first layer of green, and as you can see, it definitely creates some visual disturbance, right? Okay, there's a little bit of chaos going on there. Be very careful not to stick your arm in the paint when you're going over. You could let the first color dry and then go in with the second color. But acrylic does dry fast, but I mean, it's still workable for a little while. So, okay, so now I'm going to come in, just make sure there's no white space. Okay, so now I'm in this section, so my negative space is going to be in the blob. So you're just kind of alternating. And not sticking your arm in it. Just keep reminding myself. Okay, so I think I missed the part where I said that you can pick any two colors you want. If you're a Vikings fan, you can pick purple and yellow. It won't get you extra points, but you can do that. Green and red. Now, if you mix them together, they will make brown. And actually, they can make a really nice brown if you play with how much of each. Ooh, that is messing with my eyes. Okay, so that little point, I'm going to take my pointy little brush and get in there. Whew. Okay, so then this is going to be green. I need more green. Now, like think it caught it where I said you might go through half this tube. I'm not sure, but just go through it sparingly. Just put a little bit out at a time. A, so it doesn't dry up on you and you waste it that way. And B, so you don't pour too much out and end up wasting it. Now there is ways to keep acrylic paint wet for about a week, but like these little cups that I will use in class, they'll stay wet. You put them in something sealed like that. I think I still have some from last year that were still usable. Okay. Right, so we're just going to keep working our way around. So now this space is going to be green. So I'm going to cover up that little mistake I made. Now I might still be able to see it. If I really wanted to get rid of it, I could do another coat after this dries. Because acrylic is opaque, it will cover. Like even if I took this color and tried to cover the green, I could with enough layers. I could cover it. So this is just kind of a slow project. Slow in the fact that you just have to be careful and take your time going around your objects. Okay, and then in this one, that one will be green. Then this blob will be green. Ooh, that's going to be a tight one. Look at that. It's very satisfying when you can stay within the lines and you actually do it. Some things, these are hard. Now if I were to make a mistake with the green, I would have a little bit harder time covering up with the red. Again, with a couple coats, it would cover. But you have to let it dry in between. The dreaded dry time. All right, so the assignment this week is 5 shapes of various sizes, a border, 1 line through the middle for first years, second years, at least 2 lines, complementary colors that create little visual chaos. Don't stick your hand in the paint. No white spots, so make sure it's covered completely. This paint actually has good coverage for being just a cheap little set. Hobby Lobby has good paint. This is Liquitex, but Hobby Lobby's brand is good. I wouldn't use craft paint for this project, but I mean, you could if that's what you had. Okay, I'm going to put you on fast forward, and I am going to finish this project, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm back. So that I did all in time and a half, or double speed, I suppose. So it's not gonna, you're not gonna paint that fast. All right, so that's what it should look like. So take your time. Okay, see, even right there, let's see if you can see that. So there is some white there. That's what I don't want. Just go back over. I want really clean edges. I know you guys can do it. The paint doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be solid green or solid red. What I'm looking for is clean lines where the color matches up. It looks good. It's clean. There can be a tad bit of overlap, but not much. So clean lines, no white space. Complementary colors, so opposite on the color wheel. Make sure you let this dry fully before you close your book. So I would let this just sit open overnight until you are ready to come, at least overnight, and then you can close it. But remember your color wheel, opposites. And that rose and blue would be kind of pretty. So any of them opposite the color wheel you can use. It doesn't have to be, you know, the primary colors. It can be any of them. All right, so that's your assignment. Pretty simple. It's actually really a simple assignment. It just takes a lot of time because you are having to be careful. Make sure you put enough paint on your brush. And I don't know what else I can tell you. This paint set is yours to keep. You do not need to bring it to class next week, but you may need to. I'll let you know if you need it at the beginning of the semester. But here's your project. This is your pop art. I hope you guys have fun. I hope you enjoy it. And I can't wait to see what you turn in. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye.